The second reading from the letter to the Colossians is one of the most important passages of the entire Bible. So I highly encourage you to read this for yourself again, over and over and over. It is a good test of whether you understand Christianity correctly or not. So let's listen carefully to this reading. If you were raised with Christ, seek what is above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Think of what is above, not of what is on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. Now, for many people, these verses have meant that our goal in the Christian life is to get off of the earth and into heaven. Seek what is above, think of what is above, not of what is on earth. Things in this world, earthly things, do not really matter. Our goal is to leave this earthly life behind and to move into a heavenly spiritual life that is kind of the opposite of what we have here. If you think that way, then you do not understand Christianity. The image of Christ seated at the right hand of God is an image of power, and it is expressed in the only way that people of the ancient world were capable of thinking about gods. They thought of gods as beings who lived in high places. They usually lived on mountains. Mount Olympus, for example, in the case of the Greek gods. But this image of power of Christ is not a power that is separated from earth. This is a power that is active on earth. It's active in the world. So what Paul is saying here is make sure you are clear about where the source of true power lies. Paul means exactly the same thing that Jesus means in the gospel when he criticizes people who seek money as their main source of power. Jesus says, be careful to be rich in what matters to God. Money will place you in power struggles like the man who came to Jesus was in. A man who was in a power struggle with his own brother over his father's inheritance. And in these power struggles, one person will lose and another will win. But what matters to God is the growth of every person created in the image of God. So Paul says to the Colossians, your life is hidden with Christ in God. That is, you have a source of power working for you that is different from other visible sources of power. It's different from money. It's different from fame. It's different from military power. It's different from political power. It is a hidden source of power. And what matters to God in the exercise of this power is not that we escape from the world, but that we use this power to transform the world so that it fulfills God's purposes. And this transformation begins with the transformation of your individual life. So Paul says, stop lying to one another, since you have taken off the old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its creator. The transformation of the world begins when you come to true self-knowledge, when you realize who you really are and accept who you really are, a man or a woman created in the image of God. This is the beginning of a new self. We could say that Paul is the inventor of modern psychology. That would certainly not be an exaggeration. Paul is the inventor of modern psychology. Paul recognizes that we all have a personality, a self. And this personality is affected by all the experiences with power that we have had during our life. Parents have absolute power over their children. If they abuse this power, or if they make mistakes, then it will leave their children with insecurities. Teachers have power over their students. If they abuse this power, or if they make mistakes, then people will grow up with insecurities. There are so many ways that other people have power over us, and the way that this affects us determines how our desires work. So Paul says, put to death then the parts of yourself that are earthly. Learn to recognize what has shaped your personality in this world and how it has caused you to desire what you desire. And put to death all the ways of living that come from this old self. Because in Christ you're going to be able to start over again, a new history, free from all the baggage that you have been carrying around from the way that your life has affected you and the way your relationships with other people in your life have affected you. Once you realize that you are a person created in the image of God, loved by God in Christ, you have the power to do this, to literally transform yourself. And in fact, this is a power that has been hidden in you since the day of your baptism, whether you have recognized it or not. We're going to baptize a twin brother and sister today, and they are going to receive this hidden power. But the question will still remain, what will happen to that power in their life? Will they really tap into it? And this is going to be where all of you come in, especially parents and godparents. Will they grow up understanding what this power in Christ really is that they have and how to use it? There are some people who have been so hurt by people who have had power over them that they have become criminal. They've become totally immoral. But these people, through the power of the love of Christ, can leave this old self behind and they can be transformed. Go out and get the movie Dead Man Walking. Go on Netflix or Voodoo. Get this movie Dead Man Walking. Look at this story of a criminal rapist who is transformed through the ministry of a Catholic sister who comes to visit him. There are some people who have become so insecure because of the experiences in their life that they have come under the power of uncontrolled desire. They are addicts. They are addicted to alcohol, to pornography. But these people, through the power of the love of Christ, can leave this old self behind and they can be transformed. There are some people who have formed no personal identity for themselves apart from their work. They live only for money. They measure their success only in material terms. But these people, through the power of the love of Christ, can leave this old self behind and they can be transformed. Because these people all matter to God. What matters to God is that every person created in the image of God becomes what he or she was created to be able to live for love. And then when this transformation takes place in our individual lives, then the world, society, will be transformed as well. So Paul describes the community of the church, the community of people who are in the process of transformation. Here there is not Greek and Jew, circumcision or uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and in all. In the transformed reality of the new self, there are no power struggles between people. So Paul says, stop lying to one another since you have taken off your old self. Stop looking at people and thinking, that jerk, he's in my way. Or that idiot, she's preventing me from doing what I want to do. Start thinking about what matters to God. Among people created in God's image, there are no jerks and no idiots. There are only individuals loved by God, who are more or less doing what matters to God, which is loving one another. So in the people of God, there are no more Greeks competing with Jews over who has the superior culture. There are no more uncircumcised Christians competing with circumcised Christians over who is more spiritual. There are no more people born to be slaves who are subject to the power of people who are born to be free. There are no more lower class people subject to upper class people. There are no more Americans competing with Hispanic immigrants. There are no more African Americans competing with white Americans. In the people of God, Christ is all and is in all. This is true Christianity. It's not an escape from earth to heaven. The world matters to God. Every person created in the image of God matters to God. Christianity is about power. Not the power of domination and competition, but the power of transformation and love. This power is available to every baptized Christian. This power is the hope of the world. So discover this power in yourself and begin to live by it more fully, and you will be renewed and you will become capable of transforming the lives of others.